Hey folks, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another little video, and you're just joining me one of my local climbs going up to Master Moor and the Buckstones. Probably not the best place to film an introduction because I need all my lung capacity for this climb, but what I thought I'd do in this little video is talk about my approach to the sort of DIY do-it-yourself bike maintenance, and that being said, the point at which I would lean on the bike shop and take my bike in. And I think there's pros and cons to doing your own bike fettling in the garage or spare room or wherever you can. So I'm going to go into a few of the, the pros, the advantages of doing that, but also some of the negatives or the potential disadvantages. Well, I better get my breath back before we really get into the video. Well, the ride's taken on a bit of a strange vibe really now. I was just coming up to the top of Master Moor, and there was an accident with a cyclist, and a guy had come off, I think descending. Really wish him well and a speedy recovery. There's another cyclist who stopped when I got there, and then a doctor just stopped while we were waiting for the ambulance. So not nice, really hope the guy's okay, and as I said, wish him a really speedy recovery. And I don't know how I feel about continuing to make a video, to be honest. But yeah, here's where we are. We're just descending now into, well, down towards Selby Bridge. Really fierce headwind, and I chose my route today because I knew this leg would be a strong headwind, and then on the way back down the valley I should get a nice tailwind, so it should be a nice fast end to the ride. But yeah, I'll get a bit further down, maybe into a slightly more sheltered section, and if I feel like continuing the video then I will, but yeah, I'm not sure. It's never nice when you see somebody hurt or injured, is it? Just taking a breather in Barkey's Land, or Bark Island, I'm not sure how you pronounce this place, but it's a little pit stop before we start a big descent down into Ripponden, and then I'll go through to Selby Bridge and then pick up the valley road back up towards Littleborough and that sort of direction. Yeah, topic of today's video, reasons to perhaps consider doing your own bike maintenance, or at least some of your own bike maintenance yourself. And I was just kind of minded about this video by recently just checking the chain on my mountain bike, which I do from time to time, just like a periodic little check to see if it's still okay to use or whether I need to get a new chain. And I have a little chain gauge or chain measuring tool, which is really handy for that purpose, and it just allows you to track as your chain's starting to get a little bit worn and starting to stretch. I was using it the other day and then just realised my chain had just stretched beyond really the point where you should still be using it and still be riding with it. So got a new chain on order, and it's the reason I'm not on my mountain bike today, the reason I'm on my road bike instead. But yeah, it just got me kind of thinking about, you know, benefits of doing your own DIY bike maintenance. And for me, there's kind of three that three that definitely spring to mind, I think, when I think about DIY bike maintenance. The first kind of advantage or benefit, it's just starting to rain, a bit of rain on the camera. First benefit for me is you really get to know your bike better, and I think by doing checks and knowing what to look out for on your bike, certainly, you know, in my experience, it gives you a bit more confidence in your bike. For example, you know, recently when I checked my chain, I also checked my disc pads on the mountain bike just to make sure that there was still kind of life in them. And by being able to do that and sort of knowing how to do that, to kind of take your pads out and inspect them and then put them back, it gives me reassurance. And the next time I'm bombing down some bridleway and I really need to, you know, go heavy on the brakes, I know they're in good condition, and I'll be sort of quite reassured that, you know, when I need them, they'll be there for me. So reason number one, or benefit number one, is it gives you a little bit of knowledge around the bike, and therefore I think a bit of reassurance in the sort of the roadworthiness of the bike that you're riding, I suppose. Second reason for me is a cost benefit. Maybe not initially, because I suppose if you're doing your own bike maintenance at home, you might have to buy certain tools to kind of get started. So initially it may end up, actually be interesting to find out whether it's more expensive the first few times you do like a bike service, because you've got to buy your own tools. But certainly over time it becomes a much cheaper option than, you know, cycling or putting your bike in the car, taking it to a bike shop, being out of action for a couple of days, and you're getting a bill at the end of it. So yeah, there's potentially a cost saving in terms of doing your own DIY bike maintenance as well. And I think the third reason the third reason that sprang to mind when I was kind of thinking about this was that you potentially are a better bike companion, bike rider, if you're out with people and, you know, they break down. If you've got a little bit of mechanical know-how and you know how to do basic repairs or swap out bits and pieces on the bike, chances are you might actually be able to help out and kind of assist somebody else who might need it. You know, I'm not talking here about the finger wagging, explaining when it's not wanted or warranted, but there's been a few times I've been out riding with people and they've had an issue and I've actually known how to sort it out or fix it. So, you know, in that sense it's quite beneficial, I think, to have a little bit of know-how and have a few sort of basic bike maintenance skills. So yeah, they're the benefits, but what about the disadvantages to not taking your bike down to the bike shop to get it maintained or get it serviced or repaired? I might jump back on the bike, so I'm getting a bit cold, and then we'll get into the disadvantages on the way back, and hopefully picking up a tailwind now. Okay, let's go. Big climb out Sowerby Bridge there, and just having a minute before I start off down the valley road, because I lost a bit of time with the accident there, so I'm hitting really rush hour now, and it's going to feel a little bit like a commute home in heavy traffic, unfortunately. Yeah, I've mentioned a few kind of benefits, I think, of just wandering around aimlessly here. So I mentioned a few kind of benefits of doing your own bike maintenance. As I see it, the disadvantages, probably the main one, is that if you don't know what you're doing, you could be doing something really dangerous. So, you know, if you don't put a chain on properly, if you take out brake blocks or disc brake pads and don't put them back properly, if you try and true a wheel but get the tension all wrong, you know, these things can have really serious consequences. So I think safety is critical, and yeah, I think that's one of the main disadvantages of doing stuff at home is, you know, you're probably not a bike mechanic, you're probably not trained, and you're not working to industry standard sort of tolerances and safety protocols, so that is something you need to bear in mind. I think other disadvantages, it's quite time consuming, so when I change a bottom bracket or even just put a new chain on my bike, it probably takes me about 3 times as long as it would a bike mechanic in a workshop. So sometimes if you want something done a lot more quickly, get a professional to do it rather than faffing around and bodging around yourself. I mean, I'm a lot faster now that I've been doing this for a few years, so again, I suppose it's like that cost benefit. Over time you really start to see the pros and less of the cons, I suppose. Probably the last thing I'd mention in terms of a reason why you might not necessarily want to do your own DIY bike maintenance is the fact that you're not really supporting your local bike shop. And even though I do stuff myself, there are certain things that I'll always go to the bike shop for, and Truing Wheels is one example. I tend to every year take my bikes down to a little bike shop that I know and I trust pretty well, and they've always done a pretty good job for me. And I've faffed around on an old wheel and tried to learn a little bit, try to learn some of these skills, but it's not something I can really do. And I also quite like bringing a bit of business to my local bike shop. So if you don't use these local resources, they'll go out of business, and you'll just be left with mail order companies and having to travel further and further and further to find a bike mechanic that you can use. So yeah, maybe the other disadvantage to doing stuff yourself is you're keeping business away from really good local bike shops and local mechanics that could really do with your your custom. Well folks, I hadn't expected to finish this ride in fading light, and I hadn't expected to come across an accident in the early part of the ride. I think you just gotta, well, you never know what you're going to encounter, do you, when you step out the door or you get on a bike and go for a ride. You've just got to try and be prepared and ride defensively, ride safely, take precautions where you can, and I suppose help out and take care of people along the way. That's all you can do, really. Pretty knackered now. Didn't expect the ride to be this long, and I didn't really bring anything to eat, so I've got about 6-7 miles left before I get home. Put myself in spinning mode now, just limp mode. I've got lights on my bike, so it's no bother. Yeah, I mean, let me know guys, if you do your own bike maintenance, how much do you do yourself before you go down the local bike shop? Have you got a decent local bike shop to go to, or is it a big trek to get somewhere with a decent mechanic? It's quite difficult actually around where I am to know where to take the bike, and the little local bike shop that I use is a long drive away. It's near where I used to live a few years ago, but I just know the mechanic and I sort of really trust them, so it's worth the trip, I suppose. But yeah, a bit of an odd one, and I guess the topic for today's video about DIY bike maintenance a little bit overshadowed for me personally by coming across that accident. But yeah, otherwise please do take care of yourselves, do stay safe when you're out on the roads, and I'll catch you on the next one. Alright, bye for now.